Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos. And now to some pictures you sent into our Eyewitness portal. First is this one from Gwarimpa area of the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja, showing a bad road. Our Eyewitness reporter is asking the government to rehabilitate the road. And next is this picture from Zuba Ikwa area of the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja, showing a transformer, which our Eyewitness reporter says it's a cable and has cut off. He wants the government to check the act of vandalism like this one. Our next picture was sent in from Ayangba Itobi Highway in Zaria, Kanu State, showing a truck parked on the highway with other vehicles scampering for space on the road. Our Eyewitness reporter is asking drivers to be considerate to other road users. We also have this one from Goldie Street, Calabar in Cross River State, showing a shopping area filled with heaps of refuse. Our Eyewitness reporter says this is what Goldie Market has become, and he wants concerned authorities to look into this. We do sincerely thank you so much indeed for sending in those pictures, as we ask that you keep them coming. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has refused an application for stay of proceedings filed by the self-acclaimed leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu. The presiding judge, Justice James Soho, ruled that the application did not follow due process and is not based on facts. Justice Soho says that he will continue to hear the case daily until a High Court orders a stay on proceedings. Trial has been adjourned till June the 20th. Mr. Kanu is being arraigned for treason and other offences. And barely 5 days after one court asked Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Ricky Tafa, to defend the charges made against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, another court where he is facing charges has reached a similar verdict. Justice Aisha Okpesonwu today dismissed the preliminary objections filed by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Ricky Tafa, to the two-count charge of obstruction of justice and attempting to pervert the course of justice by bribing a judge. Our judicial correspondent, Shola Shoile, reports.
Last week Friday, Justice Adedayo Akintoye of the Lagos State High Court, sitting in the Igoshere area of Lagos Island, dismissed the preliminary objections of Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Rick, to a 27-count charge filed against him by the EFCC. The court assumed jurisdiction to hear the case and asked Mr. Tafa to defend the allegations of willful obstruction of justice, refusal to declare his assets, making false information, and offering gratification to a public officer. Like Justice Akintoye, Justice Aisha Okpesonwu, before whom the Senior Advocate is facing a two-count charge, has also dismissed his objections. Mr. Tafa had argued that the charge is bordering on obstruction of justice and attempting to pervert the course of justice amounted to an abuse of court process. He urged the court to quash the charges or dismiss them. Justice Aisha Okpesonwu has, however, held that his objections lack merit. In a ruling that lasted for an hour and a half, Justice Okpesonwu held that Mr. Tafa's argument that the EFCC was the accuser, investigator and the judge in the case could not be substantiated. The court held that the issue of a lack of fair hearing, as canvassed by the Senior Advocate, simply did not arise, as the proceedings before the court had given him an opportunity to explain his actions. On whether the case against Mr. Tafa constituted economic and financial crimes as to fall within the jurisdiction of the Anti-Graft Agency, the court agreed with the EFCC that Section 7 of the EFCC Act clothes the Commission with the responsibility of dealing also with any form of corrupt practices. Justice Okpesonwu held that the allegation of communicating with the judge is suggestive that Mr. Tafa was trying to gain an unfair advantage, one which falls within the categorization of corrupt malpractice, and he clearly had to explain the legitimacy of his actions. The judge also upheld the powers of the EFCC to institute an action on behalf of the government, whether federal or state.
With this ruling out of the way, the stage is now set for the trial of the Senior Advocate. Justice Okpesonwu has fixed the 22nd and the 23rd of June for commencement of trial. From the Lagos High Court in Igoshere, Shola Shoile for Channels Television News.
In the meantime, the Lagos High Court in Ikeja has adjourned for ruling the bail application filed by counsel to two engineers responsible for the construction of the collapsed six-story building belonging to Synagogue Church of All Nations. The defense counsel of the accused argues that the applicants should be granted bail on grounds that the offence is a bailable one. They also argued that the charge before the court is founded on gross negligence and the successes of failure of the trial is based on expert evidence. Therefore, the accused should not be punished before the case is determined. However, the prosecuting counsel notes that in granting bail, it is necessary to look into the proof of evidence. After hearing both arguments, Justice Lateef Akapo adjourned till May the 3rd for ruling. The accused are facing charges of criminal negligence, manslaughter, and failure to obtain a building permit. 116 people were killed when the building collapsed. Managing Director of the World Bank, Sri Indrawati, says that the Apex Bank remains committed to helping the federal government rebuild the Northeast. The World Bank MD, who is in Nigeria on a two-day working visit, also notes that her discussions with top government officials will focus on job creation and economic development. She was received at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport by officials of the Ministry of Finance. The Nigerian army says it has discovered that the Boko Haram terrorists now have a new means of identification. Spokesperson of the Nigerian army, Colonel Sani Usman, says that troops of 22 Brigade Garrison and members of the 3 Battalion made the startling discovery today while on routine tour of some communities. 2 suspected terrorists were apprehended in their new style uniform colored green. They also had ropes on their legs and necks. Colonel Usman notes that the patrol team recovered 1 lorry which was concealed with grass, 5 motorcycles and 2 bags of guinea corn. Other items recovered include 3 Dane guns, a solar panel, 3 bows and many arrows. The arrested terrorists are being interrogated at the moment to further assist in the clearance of the operations. The Emir of Ilorin, Alhaji Sulu Gambari, has urged the federal government to take decisive action to end cases of attacks on communities by suspected herdsmen. The Emir says that an immediate intervention must be made to avert the herdsmen from growing into another security threat to the nation. The Emir explains that the attackers are not Fulani but individuals taking advantage of the current security challenge in the country. Alhaji Gambari was speaking when he met with the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who paid him a courtesy visit on his way to inspect the steel manufacturing industry in Ilorin, the state capital. The Vice President showed the Emir that efforts are being made to end the attacks. Vice President Osinbajo is expected to conduct a groundbreaking ceremony for a steel manufacturing site in Kwara.
At our current rate of consumption, given the demand of steel from builders, especially construction companies, automotive assembly owners, owners of refineries, investors in tire and rubber, plastics, power projects, and textile owners, the steel import bill of this country is immense. Furthermore, within the next few years, Nigeria will be importing approximately 25 million tons of processed steel, aluminium products, and associated derivatives per annum at an estimated cost of $4.5 billion. That and all of these can be saved. Today, the 30 existing steel rolling mills in the country have a combined industrial capacity of something in the order of 6.5 million metric tons per annum, of which about 18 are operational, producing 2.8 million metric tons per annum from melting of scraps.
Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Residents in Uzo Uwani, local government area of Enugu State, are still licking their wounds after a clash between gunmen and farmers. The Commissioner of Police, Nwodibo Ikechukwu, insists that a gang of hoodlums are responsible for the incident and not Fulani herdsmen. He adds that although security operatives were able to repel the attack, 6 people were killed and several others injured, but investigations are ongoing at the moment.
Nimbo community, a once happy community, now a ghost town. In plain sight are deserted homes, empty market stands, and domestic animals abandoned by their owners taking the liberty to stray. Telltale signs on farmlands of the bloody massacre of people who once called this place home. Men of various ages weep helplessly as one of their own is recovered from the farmland. It's the 7th confirmed death according to the police, but the community's search parties claim more people were slain whose bodies are yet to be found. The state governor arrives at the area to see things for himself. He breaks down at the sight of the slain.
This is indeed a trying period, not just for Nimbo, but the whole of Enugu State. We have met with the Fulani leaders, and it was indeed yesterday that would have inaugurated the committee, joint committee of the Fulani and Enugu government.
Members of the community expressed their displeasure with the law enforcement agency's response and asked for improved security.
So, Nimbo community is under severe threat. This that happened now is not a situation where the security men will stay 1 week or 2 weeks and they will go. They need to stay with us for months.
Governor Ugwuanyi inspects the extent of the damage and then heads to the home of the traditional ruler of the community, who laments that their land mass, which has been a blessing to them, has become the cause of regular attacks. Then the governor goes to the hospitals where those who sustained varying degrees of injury in the attack are receiving treatment. He assures them that the state will bear the cost. For the State Commissioner of Police, who also condoles with the affected community, the perpetrators of the heinous crime will be arrested and brought to justice.
These people, we are going to get them. That's my assurance to the people of the state. They will pay a price for this.
As promised, heavy security presence has been mounted in Nimbo, but the people will need a lot more to deal with the loss and pain of such attack.
When the News at 10 returns, manufacturers lament continued delay in release of the budget 2016, plus their reaction to the federal government's Lagos town hall meeting. Stay with us.